But as I listened to societal messages that said, he stole your choice, I started getting more and more resentful. Hello, and welcome to the Complex Couples Podcast. I'm Heidi. I'm a couples therapist and relationship coach specializing in mixed orientation marriages and mixed gender identity relationships. Whether you're just discovering this reality or you've been on this journey for a long time, this is the space where your marriage matters, your values matter, and your choices matter. Let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Complex Couples Podcast. Today, I'd like to start with a story. It's about me, so bear with me for a second. I'll relate it to couples' experiences in just a minute. But I was meeting with a women's support group the other day, and after the support group, I just felt like something was not jiving right. Like I was trying to connect with these women, but I wasn't doing it very well, and I felt like they were not feeling it either. I got off the call and I couldn't really figure out what was wrong. And I self-reflected and I thought about it. And my brain is a brain that automatically goes to blame when I have a problem. So unfortunately, my instinct is to blame other people. So my mind was telling me, it's not you, it's these women. They're not ready for what you're offering. And I was a little frustrated. I was frustrated with them for not, to some degree, appreciating what I had to offer. Now, I'm not proud of that. I'm not sharing that because I'm proud of this experience. I'm sharing it because this is something I see a lot. And by that, I mean, I see people in the same position that I was taking in this circumstance, and we'll get into that in a minute. But what I often see first is they've experienced some sort of emotion and they don't exactly know what it's about. Like I knew I was very frustrated. And I didn't exactly know why. I also sensed that these women, some of them were interested in what I had to say. Some of them were actually okay with it. But others, it just felt like there was kind of this wall between us. Like they did not want to hear what I have to say. So it came up again when I was in a conversation with my supervisor. I have an amazing supervisor who has been a mentor to me for several years now. And we were talking about a different case and kind of similar feelings that I was feeling. I was feeling really angry. I was feeling frustrated. And when I started exploring my anger and why I was so frustrated, what I discovered was that I was angry at a system of beliefs that had let people down. And especially in concern and in regard to relationship, there are certain beliefs out there that I see getting in people's way all of the time. But the hard part is their beliefs that they really want to adhere to because they feel good. It feels good to think that your spouse can save you in some way, to think like there's these romantic ideas. And then when our partner doesn't meet these standards, we feel frustrated and angry at them and we think it's their fault because they're not doing what they should to help us. And as I was talking about this with my supervisor, he validated my feelings as far as like saying it is frustrating that like certain beliefs are not serving people and I can see why you would be frustrated. And I just said, yeah, because it's the truth. And when I said that, my supervisor gently listened and then he said, it's what you believe. And he just kind of kept talking. But when he said that, I caught on to it and I said, hang on a second. You said it's what I believe, and immediately that shifted my perspective. I no longer felt angry. I felt equal. Before I'd been in a position of superiority of believing I know, they don't, these dumb people who can't get this, right? I was in a position of judgment, and I viewed myself as superior. I tell you this story not because I'm proud of it, but because ironically what I was speaking to these women about was exactly what I was judging them for. I was judging them for their position of superiority with their husbands, but I was doing it from a position of superiority, of expert, and it wasn't helping me. I wasn't listening to what they were saying, and I wasn't trying to understand their beliefs in any way or what got them there. I was just coming from a position of, I know best. But the reality is I have beliefs And yes, they are founded on principles that I have seen work over and over with couples when they will apply them, but they are still my beliefs. I do not have the corner on truth. I know that there are some principles that are probably very true, but the reality is they're based on theories and beliefs. And for me to come at that from a perspective of I know and you don't, it doesn't make people receptive to listening to me. I think probably a lot of you can relate to this. You've probably been in a position when someone has talked to you in a way that says, I have the truth and you don't. And we all know what it's like to be on the other side of that. Those women felt my judgment. There was a reason there was not a connection there. If other people feel your judgment, it's going to be difficult for them to get close to you. So the question is, what do we do instead? How can we come from a position of equality? So this was one way. One way was to reframe knowledge as belief, to recognize that no one has the corner on truth. We're all just figuring things out here. Yes, there is good data and we can go with that, but often data is used to back up what we want to believe. So I have one belief system, and I think that it can help a lot of people. And so I'm committed to sharing my beliefs with other people in order to help them. But the reality is they have their own belief system, and I might not be able to change it, but I don't need to be angry at them for that. I can just hear them out and listen to what they believe and do my best to understand why they believe what they believe and how they've come up with it. Another thing that I can do is see my own humanness. Often when I'm coming from a position of judgment, it's because I feel like they're doing something I would never do. I have rarely found that to be true. Let me give you one example. When my husband came out, initially I really felt entitled, maybe a little justified, and feeling really, really angry at him because I felt like he did something I would never do. He did not tell me about his sexuality prior to getting married. And I didn't have a hard time in that I was punishing or angry at first. But as I listened to societal messages that said, he stole your choice, I started getting more and more resentful. And something that helped me get over that was to really look at myself and how I'd gotten him to marry me. My husband, he dated a lot of people, and we dated in high school. We met and dated in high school, and I knew from a very young age that I wanted to marry him. I compared everyone to him. I knew I wanted to marry him, and I really loved him. I felt warm feelings for him. If we have to define love, that's a definition for another day. I felt very warm feelings towards him, and I really wanted him to choose me. And one of the things that I had mapped about my husband or tracked about him was that he did not like neediness. He really liked people who were self-sufficient, who were strong of character. And so in many ways, so we had several years between like when we met in high school and then when we started dating again much later. And I watched him date a lot of girls. And as I watched him date them, there was a temptation to kind of beg and plead and try to get him to choose me. But I had mapped in him he didn't like neediness. So I pretended to be okay with everything. I pretended that it doesn't faze me, doesn't bother me. We never argued because I never told him how I felt. And I was very much able to hide my neediness from him and to essentially hide my real feelings for a lot of things because I was worried it would cause conflict and it would cause him not to want to be with me. Now, some may say that's not equal to not disclosing sexuality, but I would disagree. I think that my husband was also still trying to figure things out. He didn't fully understand. And at some point, he did come to understanding. He made a choice that he didn't need to tell me. And I disagree with that. I think I did need to know. But my judgment of him isn't helpful. And when I can find my own humanness, my own desire to hide and to not show exactly who I am because I want to be accepted, I can tap into why he might not be as forward with that, even with himself, but also with me. We all know what it's like to want to fit in and to hide certain parts of us. And we do it all the time. So to hold someone so accountable and to be so angry at them for doing it, to me, didn't feel fair. And so I let it go. Finding my own equality helped me to let it go. And of course, there were things that we needed to address there, but that's a topic for another day. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I hope you will be mindful of when you are taking a position of judgment. Here's the funny thing, most of us don't recognize it. Like mine just showed up as anger this time, right? I didn't realize that I was taking a position of judgment. I was angry at other people. I was angry at them for not validating the things that I was telling them and making me feel like I knew stuff. I felt betrayed in some way because I felt like, hey, here I'm offering this amazing thing to you and you don't even appreciate it. That's the message that was in my head. How often do we do that to our spouses? How often do we think, gosh, I'm doing so much for you. If only you'd do this thing for me. If we can take ourselves out of that position of judgment and find our equality with our partner, we will get so much further. And I hope you'll take the time to do that this week. You can find me at www.complexcouplescoaching.com, or you can email me at heidi@complexcouplescoaching.com with your stories, your experiences. Tell me how this lands with you. I'm eager to hear from you to shape my material. So if you have questions on anything that I'm saying or comments, I would love to hear from you. And I'll see you next time on the Complex Couples podcast.